Hi, Nathan. Yeah, I caught the most of that question. Yeah, it's been really good exercise. Um, Good wicket, really flat, and a great opportunity for guys to spend some time out in the middle. Hence, us taking the decision to bowl first. I really wanted to expose guys, especially the bowlers who hadn't really had a lot of mileage coming into that game. So, great opportunity. And then, obviously, the bulk of the batters got to get in and also spend time out in the middle. So really good exercise. Um, as to whether we've got all the answers to the questions, I don't think there were too many questions to start off with. But we certainly got everything that we wanted out of it. And really good to see the guys play with the intensity that you'd associate with a normal test match, especially on that last morning. Where we spent a really good final session. So all in all, really happy.
Thanks, Nathan. Johan?
Morning, Shukes. Do you expect a similar pitch at Queen's Oval? And is everyone in the squad fit and ready to play?
I don't expect a similar wicket. We obviously been practicing at Queen's Park. I expect a lot more bounce at Queen's Park. There's certainly the wicket that we saw was devoid of any grass. Um, so, but yeah, it'll be a quicker wicket. It'll be more bounce, and spin will definitely come into the game. As to how soon or how late, I think that's the pressing question for Queen's Park. So yeah, I think those are on the conditions front, and yes, fit, clean bill of health for everyone. So we've got a full squad to select from.
Thanks, Johan. Amir, then Telford.
Good afternoon. Thank you for the opportunity. Coach, you mentioned it now in your answer to Nathan, and Coach Pitt also spoke about it in his post-play interview at the end of day two. You spoke about the bowlers exposing them to, longer spells, having them on their legs. Could you give us an indication about the weather conditions, specifically the heat, and if that will play a role in the length of spells particular bowlers will go into?
Yeah, heat is always a factor here. It's quite oppressive, but there's always a chance of rain. I mean, it's raining as we speak. So, and I think the forecast is for spells of rain throughout the day. I think that's almost par for the course in Port of Spain. But yeah, the heat is a factor. Guys sweat profusely in these conditions. The humidity is a factor, and that obviously does speak to the balance of your side, and also the personnel. Who's able to bowl longer spells, and certainly which bowlers we'll use in shorter spells, which factors the spinners will play. So a host of things come into the equation, but you don't primarily sit down and say, well, it's hot, who can bowl in the heat type of thing. But it does play a part, yes.
Thanks, Amir. Telford?
Thanks, Lucy. How's it, Shukri? Um, I'm just wondering, David Bellingham. He had a magnificent run of form in the county championship, and of course he got runs in his tour match as well. How confident are you that he can transfer his English form to this series? Considering the changing conditions and those kind of things.
Hi, Telford. Yeah, I'd rather have an in-form batter come here than a batter out of form. You search for a lot more when you're out of form. And David's a different type of character. He's a very matter-of-fact kind of a guy and just gets on with things. When he hadn't played a county game for a while now because he had a slight niggle. So he's fresh as a daisy and, yeah, raring to go. Looks in really good nick. And so do most of our batters. In fact, all of our batters, some might not have gotten runs, but they certainly looked as if the feet were moving well. They're getting into good positions, everything that you want from them. But yeah, David, long may his form continue, and like I said, he's the type of character that just gets on with it. I don't think he's any different whether he comes with a couple of hundreds or whether he comes with a couple of low scores. So he'll just get on and do his thing.
Thanks, Telford. For those then, Neil?
As it Shukes, can I just ask you about Tristan Stubbs, I mean, you've spoken about having the confidence to bat him at 3. Is your thinking that now he will bat in that position, for the rest of this WTC cycle? And like, what does he need to do to keep the place and to do well in the role? Are there like specific tasks you've given him, or just how do you see him maturing into the spot?
Yeah, I think that's the question on most people's lips now. And I don't know if the question had been asked if he'd gotten runs in the warm-up game, but Tristan's going to be backed, like I said from the start, and he's going to be given a good run in that position. I think his psyche, his technique speaks to someone who will do that job really well, and I'm going to give him a good run, and whether that is all of the matches, I'd be surprised if we didn't back him throughout the rest of the cycle. So yeah, I'm pretty confident. I'm very confident that Tristan is going to come good, whether it's in the first test match or the second, but I think we've got a good one for the future of South African cricket.
Thanks, Fidos. I see your hand has gone back up, so I just wanted to check if you wanted to follow up before I move to Neil.
If possible, yes.
Yes, yeah, please go ahead.
Sorry, Shukri, I wasn't actually referring to the warm-up game. I just mean from an overall perspective, like, you know, when you say to someone, look, you're going to be the next number 3 for X amount of time, like, what kinds of things do they have to do, or what kinds of things have they showed you that suggests, you know, this is the guy to do the job?
I think technique is obviously a big factor because you're going to be facing the new ball the bulk of the time. And it might not be exposed in conditions such as the subcontinent, but you've got to have a really good technique, especially back home. So yeah, I know Tristan ticks all of those boxes. He's also got he's quite an imposing character, you know, big, strong boy, strapping boy, and I quite like that. I like the fact that at the top of the order I want quite imposing guys that have got a good aura about them, strong body language, and again he ticks all of those boxes. But ultimately, the proof's going to be in the tasting. But yeah, I'm going down this road, and I'm confident we're going to reap the rewards. What he must do, Fidos, like the messaging is quite simple. We do who we are. And I know it's become quite cliche now, being the best version of yourself, but whatever that identity is, you couple that with the conditions that you're confronting, and then marry that with what the skills the opposition bring. But ultimately, you still operate with your own identity in mind, and that's the only messaging I've given Tristan and the rest of the batters.
Thanks, Fidos. Neil?
Right, Shucks. With both venues historically being 2 spinner venues, I wondered what your thoughts were on Aidan's off-spin at test level. Obviously, he does a great job in the one-day game. But if you decided not to go with Keshav and Dane Pete, how do you feel about other guys contributing some spin? I don't know, maybe even Stubbsy.
Yeah, look, it's obviously things we've spoken about. The balance of the side's going to be important. Like I said right at the kick-off, Manners, it's going to spin. We know it's going to spin. Everything that screams out. You look at the squad the West Indies have put together. Not that we focus too much on that, but yeah, everything tells us it's going to spin. The question is how early or how late in the game it's going to spin. So yeah, those are some of the considerations. And if it spins as much as we think it potentially could later on in the game, then yes, Aidan can be effective. Whether he becomes a match winner, I'm not sure, but he can become very effective, and same as someone like Stubbs that you mentioned. So yeah, that's going to be the real trick here, Neil, is balancing that attack of ours, whether it's 2 first choice spinners or whether we feel someone like Aidan can do a good enough job as the second spinner, how many batters we play, and obviously the amount of seamers.
Thank you.
Thanks, Neil. We're going to look to take the last couple of questions now, so starting with Mark.
Good morning. I wanted to ask you that the West Indies were singing quite a positive tune after that English series under Colley in his post-match presser and the captain. But do you think there were any positives for them in that series? I mean, they did get a bit of a thrashing.
I think the positives would be that they've got 3 tough test matches under the belt, and they come into this series at home where they're different beasts. They play really well in the West Indies. So I think they'll take a lot of confidence from the fact that possibly in that second test match at Trent Bridge, where they batted particularly well in the first innings, they were in that match for long periods of time. So I think they'll draw confidence from some of that. One of the top order batters got 100, and you know what it's like with coaches. We've got to find the silver lining, and we take the positives out of it. So, but I think the biggest thing for them is that they would have had a couple of runs under their belt, and we come in a bit on the fresh side. But yeah, maybe best when fresh for us.
Thanks, Mark. Then we're going to go Artie.
Thanks, Lucy. Hi, Coach. I hope you're well. Coach, generally, just how has the sort of the mood been around the team? You guys haven't been together for some time. And how is the excitement to play netball cricket again? And sort of what are those goals you want to see from this series heading to the second test, and also again, you know, the upcoming test that you'll be playing during this certain period?
Yeah, the excitement levels are right up there. The guys, you can see, are thrilled to be here. We've spent close on a week here now. Time to spend, obviously out in the middle, good practices, but just generally for the guys to spend time together again. And I can safely say that everybody's really excited and raring to go. We've got 2 more practices to go before the test match, and I think the guys are champing at the bit now for that to get going. You know, as for goals, we play any match because we want to win. That's ideally what the goal is, to win the series. But in order for that to happen, we obviously need to follow certain processes. You know, you've got to bat particularly well, you've got to bowl well, and it's going to be quite attritional these test matches, because the conditions don't lend itself to fast scoring and bouncy and seamy wickets and that sort of thing. So yeah, for us to stay in the fight and drag it out, and when those tough periods come, to be at our best when the tough periods arrive, and that ultimately should see us through, and that's the goal, and that would be the goal for the rest of the cycle. You know, we know how big these 4 months are for us, 8 test matches, but it all starts here, and the focus is really on this first test match that starts in a couple of days' time.
Great, thanks for taking the last 2 questions over King, and then we're wrapping with Amir.
Thanks, Lucy. Hi, Coach. Just a couple. Just need your thoughts on Ryan Rickleton and the role he's going to play moving ahead. And also, does it make it any easy playing against the West Indies side that's lacking a bit in experience?
Yeah, Rickleton, again, great to see Ricks in form. It might be a different format, but by all accounts, he had a really good MLC, comes off a couple of hundreds. So it's great when players arrive here confident, and we're certainly going to look to ride that confidence, you know. And what sort of role he'll play, I think that'll play itself out over the next couple of months. But I mean, there's every chance he will get a good run as well. But again, look, it's horses for courses. We'll only ever select what we believe the best 11 is to win a particular test match. And that is all based on the conditions that we encounter. But yeah, like I said, it's great to have Ricks in form, and a few of the other guys as well. And in inexperienced West Indies side, I don't think they're as inexperienced as we'd like to believe. You know, they, again, 3 test matches under the belt. And they're a bit like us in the same position. So we don't play a hell of a lot. So whatever little bits of experience we've got should actually start counting for a lot. So I think we're in a similar boat when we're talking experience, especially batting lineups. Yeah, we're looking forward to an exciting battle. We're certainly not going to be underestimating them in any way. We know they're a tough team, especially in their conditions.
Thanks. Mia, to close us off?
Thank you, Lucy. Yeah, Coach, and excuse my ignorance if this question was already answered, but you spoke a little bit about the positives that you took from the 4-day match. If you could maybe earmark any areas you feel need a bit of sharpening up ahead of, obviously it's a very short time now before the first test, but across the series?
No, nothing in particular. We know the caliber of players we got at our disposal. It's really just for them to find that ideal prep and then believe that whatever we've done is enough, and not enough, but we're certainly not going to be having any excuses with regards to our prep or our lack of playing time, etc., etc. You've got to believe that what you've done is more than adequate. And yeah, we believe in our skill sets. We know that we're a quality test side, and runs on the board is going to be critical, guys, to bad periods of time, and then putting spells together. Those are the basics really of Test match cricket, and I think against the West Indies in these conditions, that's going to be the real thing, being able to perform those basics for extended periods of time and to be ultra disciplined in everything we do.